Hi, everyone. This is Siris Rivas-Verdejo, and we're going to continue our series on the limiting patterns that are listed and worked on in the Choosing It All Your Way coaching program. So this is video number 4. We've done 3 videos before, and we have one more after this one. So if you haven't had a chance to check out our previous videos, it's all good. Go ahead and check them out. They're all nice and short, as this one will be as well. About 10, 15 minutes. That's my aim. Okay. And our theme for today is using time or age to define you. And so part of why this is really, really important is as you'll start to see when I'm giving you examples of the ways that you can know if this is a limiting pattern that is functioning and running in your life, you'll notice pretty quickly how some of these words that we use can limit us, can be very disempowering, could even lead to us eroding and chipping away at our self-esteem without us unconsciously knowing it. So if this is something that you would like to feel more empowered with, then acknowledge first the ways that this is maybe running in your life consciously or unconsciously. And so we're going to give some tips today on how to do that. Now, one of the ways that you can know if this is running in your life is if you say things like, oh, I'm too old for wearing this outfit, or I'm too old to make new friends. I'm too old to move and start a new job. I'm too old to start a new business. Also, it's like it gets harder to do this as you get older. It gets harder to make new friends. It gets harder to connect with people. It gets harder to heal, to change your body, to lose weight, whatever that thing is. When you use things like this, you are probably having this limiting pattern running in your world. Another one that I hear very often is it's going to take a long time for me to do fill in the blank. Like it's going to take a long time for me to recuperate from this injury. It's going to take a long time for me to find somebody to date. It's going to take a long time for me to find clients and increase my client base. It's going to take a long time for me to write or publish this book that I'm writing, or this book that I'd like to publish. So these different things can run in our worlds without us really realizing it. And people say it all the time. People are saying it to us, around us. We're saying it. We're kind of jumping in on the bandwagon with a lot of people. And I find that this is also very impactful with the kids that I work with the families that I work with, because then this also has implications at a very young age. For many of us, we were hearing these things before we may even had words that we were saying, before we had conscious thought. There are so many times where I hear parents say, oh, they're too young to know about blah, blah, blah. They're too young to know about sexuality. They're too young to know about business. They're too young to know about bodies and money. And it's like, are you sure about that? There's a lot of kids that know a lot that could contribute to us about business and about money and about connection and all these different things, but they're not getting asked. We certainly, many of us weren't asked our opinion on these things, and it was to our detriment. It was to the detriment of the adults in our lives. So are you saying any of these types of words and types of sentences to yourself or to others around you? Oh, you're too young for that. Or I'm too old for this. Or I'm too young for this. I'm too young to be thinking about retirement. I've been thinking about retirement and planning for it and having that long view of my life since I was in my 20s. A lot of people, they wait until they're in their 50s, and it's not the best choice. It's not too late. I'm not going to say that, because that also is the type of phrasing that includes time defining and limiting you. It's not about it's too late, but it's not maybe not going to create as much as if you can get into it a little bit earlier. All right. But it can still create something. Okay. So then why is this important? Well, as we start to use these words, as we're hearing these words, as we start to actually buy it and start to make that real in our worlds, it slows us down. It slows down our healing. It slows down possibilities. It slows down our ability to create something different, because we are starting now to then age like other people around us instead of aging our way. We start to use time to limit us, and we use how long things took for other people to then dictate how long something's going to take for us. And is that actually true? you have to ask those questions instead of being like, well, because it took this long for my mom to do this, it'll be that way for me. Or because my friend said this is how her experience was with this, then that's how it'll be for me too. And you start to mimic and duplicate other people's realities and other people's pathways instead of creating something that is going to work for you and is actually true for you and your body, true for you and your business, true for you and your relationships. So if you're doing this, as I'm listening to you all talk to me about things, I'm often listening for these types of words. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that is running in your world and running in this person's world. And so one of the things that I would invite you to do is to really, really listen to yourself. After each sentence you say, pause. And it takes practice and be like, oh, okay, what did that sentence create? Is it something that is empowering me, or is it something that's limiting me? Is it something that is actually what I would like to have create? Because our words not only have power, but then the energy with the words have even more power too. So are the words that you're using have this limitation, this limiting pattern of using time and age to define you? And is that something that you'd like to continue? If not, start listening to yourself and catch yourself and be like, actually, maybe I'm going to think this instead. Maybe I'm actually going to delete that point of view. Maybe I'm actually going to choose beyond this limiting pattern, this limiting belief. And then also listen to the people around you, because the people around you can also affect your viewpoints. They can influence you either toward or away from what's true for you. And you don't have to argue with them. You don't have to get into a heated debate. Just be like, that's interesting. I'm not so sure that's true for me. Or okay. And let them have wherever they're at with it. That doesn't mean that you believe it or that it's true for you or that it has to apply to you just because they think it, they say it, they're acting that out in their life. These different things really invite us to just be aware and pay attention to the words that are around us and to how we are, through our words, through the way that we're communicating with ourselves and our bodies and those around us, how it's creating a certain pathway, a certain possibility, a certain life and living, and really ask us to see if that's what we'd really like to have. If it is, go for it. Cool. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to stop you. Only you can stop you anyway. But if it's something that you'd like to change, I really invite you to look at this. And if you would like to have some support in paying attention to how your words may be further reinforcing this limiting pattern, go ahead and schedule a consultation with me. I am going to put the link once again underneath this video. And also check out the rest of the list of the limiting patterns that we've talked about so far, and the other ones that we're not going to get to talk about because there's way more than the 5 that we're doing this month. But I wanted y'all, as we're ending this summer, to have a sense of, okay, what would I like to create between now and the end of the year? Knowing that it's not too late. It's not too late for this year to have more awareness, more of an understanding of yourself, more of a gifting to yourself of something that's like, okay, I'm really taking action and doing the things that match what I say I'd really like to have as my life. And then you can also vote for our last limiting pattern that we're going to talk about. It's up to y'all. It's really based on your votes. So I really hope you've been enjoying this series so far, and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know, and go ahead and pop in under this video. What are some of those things that as we're talking about this, you're like, oh, wow, I do say this and this. There are probably way more examples than I've mentioned. I just wanted to give you guys a couple to start off with so you can notice. But if you have some other ones that you want to add and chime in and contribute to this community with, please do. I love hearing them. And then I will see you next week for our last limiting pattern that we're going to discuss as a part of the series. And until then, have a great day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye for now.